Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I'm going to keep it, I'm just going to keep talking as people come in, and then I'm going to go over everything. First of all, for those of you, this is your first ReelAbilities experience, welcome to the ReelAbilities Film Festival. My name is Isaac Zablocki. I'm the director and co-founder of the festival, and we welcome you here to ReelAbilities New York. You might not be in New York doing this time, which is definitely an interesting experience. And we're about to start our conversation. We just want to make sure that everybody who needs to be in the room is getting into the room. So give it a few minutes. We'll give you a quick 101 on how this is going to work. But I will note that we're this time using the webinar format. We sometimes use the, I don't remember what the other version is, but the kind where we could see you. You can only see this time the panelists. We actually have quite a few panelists this time. So we at least 9 people. So we'll let you focus on us. I do recommend actually once you're done doing the Brady Bunch view to move to speaker view. And you can then check us all out. That's on the top right of the screen. You could switch to speaker view. I'll also note now what was just noted in the chat box, which is the closed captions. Closed captions, you could turn them on the bottom of the screen. There's a closed caption option. Hopefully anyone who needs that can also adjust it through the closed caption settings. And you could also look at the entire transcript if necessary. I'll also share, thank you. There's now, we have 72 people viewing us at the moment. And our moderator, Lawrence Carter-Long, will be joining us in a moment. I'll also share that you had the view modes, the Q&A, the way the Q&A is going to work this time. The chat box you could use for chatting if necessary, but the Q&A is really where you're going to ask your questions. We have representatives from a few, if not all of the films here. And we'll go over all of that in a moment on who's here and who's not here. But note the Q&A box on the bottom. That's where you're going to want to ask your questions. If you cannot ask a question through typing, you're very welcome to ask it by raising your hand. You do that by going to the participants box, and there's a raise hand option. I just raised my hand, and then when you're done, you could lower your hand. I just lowered my hand. I don't know if anybody but the moderators saw that, but the moderators here have full control. If you raise your hand, the moderator will contact you directly and give you the opportunity to be unmuted. We're taking a little bit more control of that this time. So I'm gonna get started into the real program because I see Lawrence Carter-Long is here with us, and I hope he got some of that. He's connecting to audio as we speak. Welcome, Lawrence. Thank you all for joining us. First of all, before I start, and this is always hard, but of course, I mean, we're really glad that we're doing ReelAbilities during this time when people I think need it most, and people with disabilities especially, who all year round don't have as much of a voice, need to be highlighted. And now more than ever, we definitely want to highlight those voices. But we also want to take a moment to recognize that we're living really in a tragic period, and there's a lot of families and people who are losing people. We're here in New York, where our numbers, it's really a tragedy that I have never lived through in my lifetime and cannot imagine. And it's something that we want to acknowledge in all of this. And our hearts and thoughts are with everyone who's affected by this. Moving into a different mode is that we're once again really happy to be presenting these films, and our short film compilations are amazing. Lawrence is going to, I'm sure, talk more about it because he is always moderating these conversations and a huge fan of our short films and of short films in general. And it is such an amazing format. And I'll just connect it for a moment to everything we do in ReelAbilities, which is we're giving a platform for the voices that are often not in the spotlight. And often to make films takes a lot of money. And it's actually our short films. We see it. The quality of our short films are often so high and so amazing and are telling stories like nowhere else, because short films are sometimes kind of the building block to the feature film version. And we look forward to seeing feature versions of all of these amazing films because they truly are all too short. but they're really sometimes some of the best material we're seeing for the disability world, out of the disability world, including the disability world, are the short films, and we're really proud of them. We have 2 more sessions of short films today. I think you saw now, I don't know, 5 or 6 films, and there are many, many more. The short films are amazing every year, and we work hard to kind of like comb through many of them, and many great ones actually, unfortunately, don't make the final cut. I want to give a quick moment of thank you to our partners. I urge you to check out the partner page on the ReelAbilities New York website, because these are the folks who are doing the work on the ground year-round, and they are the ones that allow our festival to exist. We work as a community program. So I want to thank YAI, who are amazing partners, the Campaign for Disability Employment, ASPES for Social Justice, Gigi's Playhouse, who have been partners with us for many years, and we love working with you, Northeast ADA, DHIS, Alexander's Angels, and of course there are many, many more. We just kind of try to like highlight a few during each event. I'm going to introduce you now to all of our amazing panelists that we have here, and it's actually, I'd say, thanks to the fact that we are now doing this virtually, that we get to have so many of our short filmmakers with us. So I'm going to introduce the ones that we have here. We have the director of Sock Guys. How much did you guys love that film? I'm going to say that about each of the films. Sock Guys, we have Katie Turinski, who is the director. We also have John and Mark, who you know very well. They are the Sock Guys, and they're here with us. Guys, you want to give a wave so everybody knows where you are. Once again, I'm just going to take a moment for those who joined late to remind you that there are also closed captioning on the side if we want to put that up on our chat again. I'll also mention one more time that the Q&A is going to go, in this version we have a Q&A box, so please ask your questions for the speakers in the Q&A box, but wait till the moderation is close to ending because the question might be covered. Next, I'm going to introduce Maxx Corkindale, who is the co-director of Tragically Deaf, along with the actor who's also the co-director, Paul Vagnarelli. Paul Vagnarelli. We got it. Thank you both for being here live. They're coming in live from Australia, so it's 4 in the morning, we think there, or 4:30 in the morning now. Next up, I'm going to introduce Michael Attie, who is the director of Moment to Moment. Then we have Michele Bertini from Deaf Love. Is Claudio there? I don't know if I saw Claudio before.
Yes, there is.
Michelle's there, but Claudio I don't see. Do I see Claudio?
Yeah, Claudio's
on the bottom.
But is it disabled? I think
so. I see. Thank you. So Claudio's with you. Got it.
No, it's not with me. It's disabled. He can talk, I think.
Okay. So Claudio Esposito, who is the producer of Deaf Love. I'm also going to welcome Christopher Cosgrove, who is from Boldly Go. And I think that covers everybody who's here. Did I forget anyone? I'm going to hand things over now to Lawrence Carter-Long, who is going to try to bring in all of these and cover all of these films with all our fabulous filmmakers. Folks, I just want to thank you on an amazing job. All of your films are really some of our favorites from the festival. And I see Claudio is there now too. So thank you all. Over to you, Lawrence. Lawrence is muted. Hold on. Let's give him some.
So there we go. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to be here with you now. Had some technical difficulties getting in, so I'm pleased to be here. I missed the very beginning of Yitzi's introduction, but I want to thank everybody involved with the making of these wonderful films, and look forward to speaking with you. I think to make things easier, since I did miss the beginning, I'm going to go in the order that they were shown. So why don't I start here with Katie, John, and Mark. So hi there, gang. Now, Katie, it's really easy to see why you wanted to do a film about these fellas and about their business. But why don't you tell us how you got introduced to them and where the idea came from.
Sure. I became aware of Mark and John's business through Facebook, actually. I think I had seen a little promotional video that someone had made on their business, and I thought they were amazingly charismatic, and I kind of fell in love with both of them right off the bat. And when I discovered they were on Long Island, which isn't far from Brooklyn where I live, I thought, I'd love to go and actually meet these guys in person and visit them. So I kind of cold called them and just said, hey, I'd love to tell a longer story about you guys and your business and learn more about you. And they both were extremely welcoming right off the bat and said, yeah, come on over. Let's have a conversation. And it just sort of was born out of that. So what I found when I got to the business was.
And let me ask.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just was going to say, I was just overwhelmed with what I discovered as this amazingly unique workplace that they've created that I had never seen before, and I knew there was a really interesting story there.
Feeds right into my next question. So, what did you? I can almost guess what you might have expected when you first met them or when you went to the business. But how were you surprised? Were there any things that you didn't know that kind of came to your attention?
I think I was surprised at how truly cohesive and positive the energy was at John's Crazy Socks. And I mean, I was there for about 10 minutes and I was like, I want to work here. It's really just such an amazing integrated workplace where the spirit of everybody working there together is actually as lovely as it seems in the film. Like it's really cooperative and cohesive and fun, and that kind of vibe is what that tone is set by Mark and John every day and their positivity. And I think their employees totally feel that, and it's all reciprocated. And so that was really surprising to me to see a workplace where people are having that much fun and working well together and not stressing about little stuff and being successful at the same time.
That's great. Thanks so much. Good work, Katie. Hi, Mark. Hi, John. How you guys doing?
Good. How about you?
Doing very well. Doing very well. It's good to talk to you. Mark, you keep doing an amazing disappearing act. You're like a magician over there. It's fascinating to watch. So I just wanted to ask, how long has it been since the filming? And how are things different with the business?
Let's see. The filming was in 2017, right, Katie? So we're 3 years on. We're riding a roller coaster like any entrepreneurs do. You don't plan on having a pandemic in your business.
Never part of the business plan, right?
No. So you make adjustments all the time. We have evolved some, but we have the same mission, right? What's our mission, buddy?
Spreading happiness.
Right? And we have the same core values, and that steers everything we do. So we're very fortunate.
And you all have been faring well, doing okay in the midst of this situation that we're all facing now?
Well, we're making do with what we can. It has cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. At the same time, you look to see what you can do. The state of New York has decreed that we are an essential business. So we are allowed to stay open, though we have told our colleagues to stay home because many of them, two things. One, business is slow, and many of them have immune challenges. So we need to keep them safe. So right now it is truly a family business. It's John, me, and my wife going in every day, packing the orders and getting the orders out to where we started. And we're doing more things online. So I think Katie showed some tours. We normally host tours for high schools and social service agencies. We've moved those online. John and I are now doing a Facebook Live show every 3 nights a week, just to spread some happiness. And that's reaching over 20,000 people a night. And We're going to have a dance party next week. You're all welcome to come. John's going to host an online dance party. You know, if people can't come to us, we're going to try to find a way to go to them.
That's great. John, what are you most enjoying these days? What's making you the most happy?
I make you so happy. I love socks. And my sock is fun, it's colorful, I love it creative, and it always ends with being me. It's so much fun working with my dad like a partner. I'm so fortunate I'm working with Kay.
That's great. What's your favorite pair of socks right now?
My favorite pair of socks now is a Down syndrome superhero socks.
John designed some.
All right, you're gonna have to show those.
Do we have a pair?
I do.
Okay, so when they go on to somebody else, you go get a pair. We can hold them up and show.
I have much more.
Okay.
All right. Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I want to make sure we get everybody in here. We'll come back around. So let's see. Next, I believe in the lineup was Tragically Deaf. Is that correct? Let's see. So we've got who are the guys? Who are the folks with Tragically Deaf? The wave. Okay, Max. Hey, how's it going?
Good. Me and Paul. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Hi.
I loved a lot about this film. You got a lot in there in the span of what? Just about 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. And so Max, you're started it as a cinematographer. Is that correct?
Yeah. I work in film and TV here as a cinematographer and camera operator. And I met Paul. We were working on a Netflix show here called Wanted. And Paul was a camera attachment on there. And we worked together and it was great. And then, just middle last year sometime, we just decided over a weekend to make a film. And that's how Tragically Deaf came about. So we just threw some ideas around. Yeah.
And how much of that, and I want to ask both of you, how much of that was informed by, let's say, Paul, as somebody who's also been involved in the industry, informed by the kinds of profiles that might have been done about you and your life previously?
Paul, you can answer that if you like when you finish reading it.
Yeah, there'll be a little lag here.
My experience in the industry is challenging, and so a lot of it in the film, there's not really much about me in the industry. It's about me in my life, my everyday life, trying to get work and things like that.
Well, the beauty for me, I work in disability and media, is the send up that you guys did. That was a real, a parody of the kinds of profiles that we see of people all the time. That super serious tone and those assumptions about someone's tragic, horrible, difficult life. I think that's one of the reasons that the 2 minute short works so well, is because we can all recognize the type of source material that you might have pulled it from.
Yeah, I think a bit of that came from me as well, because before meeting Paul, I hadn't really had much experience with people who had a hearing disability. And so a lot of, sadly to say, I guess a lot of those kind of profiles came from how I previously thought, basically. And so I guess me and Paul discussed and we talked about it, and we kind of went down the mockumentary route because I think instead of preaching to people, seriously, it's a better way to get across information, I think, with comedy.
Right. And how's the film been received? What's the reaction been, Paul? How have your peers and friends reacted to the film?
A lot of people have reacted in a way at the beginning. So when they see the title Tragically Deaf, they'll be shocked about the title. And then they watch the film and they realise, oh wow, we're really good. The contradiction surprised them a lot.
That's great. And Max, what about you? I'm assuming a lot of your peers or people who've seen it, wouldn't have the same kind of experience that Paul might have had, or wouldn't have reflected in the way that you did. How have people responded to you?
I think quite well. It's actually shown at quite a few film festivals around Australia, so we've been quite lucky. So that's good. It gets out there and can share its kind of word to people. We actually had like a screening with some kids in a film festival in New South Wales, and they asked some really good questions after that, basically, because I think they'd never really come across like anyone like Paul either. So it was actually quite, and it was quite fun playing with, because Paul reads lips really well. So it's kind of, I was explaining, it's like a superpower. He can listen to people from across the other side of a room and things like that. And the kids really like that. And there's little things like that, I think, that people don't understand. And I think it's kind of cool.
And you might have just mentioned, the possibility of some sort of sequel using that superpower. I could see a lot of opportunities within that kind of scenario as well.
We have thought about that, actually. Some kind of superhero, Paul superhero. Yeah, it would be kind of fun.
What would you like people to take away from this film? What were your hopes for it?
Paul?
No, I'm hoping that people can see that in that people are not feel disabled, especially from my perspective, rather than being treated differently. I'd like to be treated as equal.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Great work.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And for something slightly different, I want to turn right now to Mike Attie, who's the director of Moment to Moment. Hi, Mike. Welcome.
How you doing?
So I really liked. I'd like to know a little bit about the origins of your film and how you came to know Carl and Susan, and what was the origin of that film?
Sure. So I had we had a mutual friend.
Moment to Moment.
So we had a mutual friend between the two of us. It's a woman who I've worked with in the past. She's a theater director who met them. She was doing some counseling sort of around like creative work and dementia, but she had met them, and it was just sort of a chance meeting, honestly. Like, I can't really ascribe it to anything other than just by some sort of strange circumstance I found myself in their home, just meeting them and getting a sense of who they were. Now that I've completed the film, the funny thing is they used to be teachers where I went to high school, and I never had them, but they were actually, part of the research in doing this film was going back and looking through all these old yearbooks to find pictures of them over their terms of their careers. And in that time, I was also seeing pictures of myself and my friends in the same place, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, I had met them, and there was just something there that I found to be really compelling about them as characters, and something about their relationship, which I found quite moving. So much of that creative element really evolved as the film really kind of revealed itself as I spent more time with them. I didn't know at the early stages of filming that it was the copper that was really going to become the through line of the story, this sort of obsessive behavior and how it became a creative outlet. I'd been filming many different things that he was doing along the way, but ultimately once Susan decided that the copper was art, that kind of became the crux of the story and became the way in which it resolves. So, it took a lot. It actually happened over a long period of time. It was I think I've filmed with them on and off for a period of about 1.5 years or 2 years. And it wasn't until fairly late in the production process that Susan realized that she could do something creative with all this copper, and then the film kind of had the momentum and had an ending, really.
Yeah, and so it was a way to kind of connect the various strands. I think another, not quite a theme, but I think another connecting principle another connecting thread within the film that I just thought was gorgeous in terms of their relationship and how you depicted it was the dancing. The dancing really just seemed to kind of hold that space in a beautiful way, which watching the film now, you know, with the coronavirus stuff going on and everybody sheltering in place, there was something very, I don't know, just kind of comforting and something about staying in place and holding space that I found really beautiful, that was maybe even more resonant at a moment like we're all facing.
Yeah, the dancing was funny because it was one of these things where I don't think she was actually, Susan was a little bit, you know, Carl, I think only in the latter stages of his dementia got really into that. That wasn't something he did prior, but it was this interesting way that they bonded in the kind of like, in this new stage of their relationship that became something that was more meaningful to them. And a lot of the stuff I should say, you know, Susan is an artist and is a creative person, and she often was sort of kind of like feeding me ideas, which was pretty fun. And so she would like call me up or text me and say, "Oh, Mike, there's this really great image. You should come over and film this." And luckily they only live like 20 minutes from my house, which makes it really easy. So I could just drive over there and like get this shot or that shot, or, you know, I could do a little bit more directing and staging than I would in my normal work.
So in similar ways to how she was collaborating with Carl, that she kind of collaborated with you as well.
Yeah, it was a fun experience. I mean, you know, it was a difficult time for them, and I think it was something that was enjoyable for them. I'm sure that for Susan, also just like me, you know, it's so much work for her to manage his day to day, and he's obviously in a facility now, and it's not, they're in a different stage now. But I think in some ways, just being there and being present, I think, was helpful to them.
That's wonderful. And I think one of the things your film shows beautifully that I haven't seen in a lot of films that deal with things like dementia or Alzheimer's or memory are the ways that in which life changes, sure, but it goes on. And you find new ways. You know, there's a lot of obviously and understandably fear out there, but I think you depicted a beautiful sense of how things can alter, but they can continue just the same. So thank you. Great work. I want to turn now to Christopher Cosgrove, director of Boldly Go. Christopher, how are you?
Hi, good, thanks.
Cosgrove, cosplay. This is an interesting thing that kind of works well together here with Boldly Go. I think I've in the hundreds, if not thousands, of films about disability that I've seen in the course of my life and career, I've ever seen a love scene that had a colostomy bag involved. So bravo
Right.
to you for that. Tell us a little bit about how your film, where it came from.
So it's definitely very autobiographical. I've got Crohn's disease, so I was diagnosed when I was about 21, and I'm about 34 now. So over the last 10 years, I've had about 4 or 5 bowel resections. And for me, when I kind of was diagnosed with Crohn's, it was very closely connected in like a couple of months of actually coming out to my friends and family as well. And so it's kind of doing both journeys at the same time. And I found that there was a lot of similarities in the process of coming out, as well as, you know, if you're trying to have relationships when you're young, it was this other whole thing you had to come out with of like, oh, by the way, there's this really weird thing about my body. And I had an opportunity to make a short film for a post-grad course I studied at a year or so ago, and I really wanted to tell this story in particular. So, and yeah, I was able to make it, fortunately, as part of my course, which is a lot of fun.
Fantastic. And so how's the film? Where have you shown it? How's it been received?
Really well. This is my first proper crack at directing, and it's now, I think, done almost 20 festivals around the world. It's been doing a lot of the big queer film festivals around the world. So it was screening in London at the BFI Flair Festival last weekend. It's done a lot of America so far, around Europe, a lot of Australia. So I'm pretty thrilled.
And what are your hopes for this film? I mean, since it's showing in various audiences in various places, what would you like audiences to take away from it?
A couple of things. I think specifically for people that know what it's like to live with an ostomy, which is so many people. It affects so many people that you wouldn't even know that have it. And it's such a big part of their day-to-day life. And it's not on screen. We don't see it. And I read a statistic, it's like 500,000 people in America have had an ostomy or have one at some point. So I think, number one, I want to just give that some visibility and let people have some understanding of what that's like, and hopefully mean that conversation is a bit easier for the next person who has to have that conversation. But secondly, I think for a bigger audience, I just wanted to make a film that was more about, how great we can be as humans if we just are genuinely honest with each other. And that can be really scary when you're young, particularly. And so I kind of wanted to do a story as well that was that sort of coming of age space where, you kind of take a bit of a leap of faith, and that, it doesn't always work out, but when it does, it can be really rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really charming film, but very tender, and I just found it sweet. It touched me, and I was charmed by the whole thing. So congratulations on the work, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being part of ReelAbilities. I want to move to next director. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. The next director, Michele Bertini, and producer Claudio Esposito from Deaf Love. Hey, fellas, how are you?
Hi, Lawrence.
Hi, Lawrence.
Hi, I'm doing very well. Thanks. Thanks for joining us. What time is it where you are?
It's 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Okay, so it's still kind of nighttime. So I want to say I was charmed as well by your short, and I hadn't quite seen. I like the juxtaposition, right, where you took the usual idea where the non-disabled people or the non-deaf people are sort of dominant, and you flipped it on its head. Yeah, you turned it upside down, and that created the scenario and the situation in which your film was able to really thrive. Where did those ideas come from?
Yeah. I answer? Yeah.
Sì, Michele, vai tu.
Okay, yes, it's my idea to try. Sorry for my English, sorry. Yeah.
It's better than my Italian.
It's a way to try to be catchy, one argument that be more too much boring to the mainstream. You understand? And this was the idea to because I think that the world of the deaf is a unknown and fascinating reach of potential world, and not so much developed in the Italian cinema. So I write the story, and I search a way catchy and brilliant to try to fascinate the public. Yes.
Yeah, the fish out of water theme is always nice, right? There's a lot of room to play inside there. I also like the use of. I'm sorry?
Yeah, the fish of the water is perfect.
Yeah, and I also like the way that you use the music and you use guitar, because a lot of people wouldn't think with a film that had deaf protagonists or deaf characters, the music would be a part of it. And I think that played in really nicely.
Yeah, it's true, because they are the vibration of the guitar that the deaf can hear. It's a way to listen the music for the deaf. It's true. It's really.
Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to open that window, I think, for hearing audiences and give them a sense of what what that might be like. Expand their worldviews as well. So where have you screened the film? Tell us a little bit about where it's gone, what it's done since you created it.
Posso rispondere io?
Yes.
We had something like 20 film festivals here in Italy, and we got a prize 2 weeks ago before this coronavirus lockdown. And this actually is a spin-off short film because we are developing the feature film. And we have been working with Michele since 1 year, and we are writing down the script. We are trying to find fundings, and hopefully we are going to extend the story. And this very nice concept that Michele shared with me 2 years ago when everything started.
That's one of the reasons that I love to do these short programs. And when Yitzi asks me what I want to do or what I'm able to do with ReelAbilities every year, I always say, give me the shorts. I want to do the shorts because those films that are short films this year, in 2 or 3 years, can be a feature, right? And you see them at those very early stages.
Fingers
so
crossed.
Yeah.
Thank you for having our film in your selection.
Thank you for doing it. Is there anything you'd like to share with folks? I want to make sure I go back to Mark and John here and see those socks before we turn it over to the audience.
We are okay.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Wonderful
Bye
work.
bye.
So John, did you get those socks? You're muted.
They're on the way.
They're on the way. Okay. So we've got a question here from the audience. People are asking if they can still order during the COVID-19. So that's really important. The website is John's, JOHNS, johnscrazysocks.com. And the question is from Connie Batinelli. She asked, John and Mark, has the health distancing impacted your staff's work and distribution? And she wants to know, can she still order socks? And we're all wondering about that. So please clear that mystery up.
We'll take the easy thing. Yes, people can still order socks. Here's John's. You want to show him your Down syndrome superhero socks?
Yes.
Hold it close to the camera.
Okay, this one is Down syndrome superhero socks. This is me. I'm a superhero.
But yes, you can order socks. As for our staff, we had reduced the number of people. In fact, we had a training session with the head of infection control for a local hospital come in and teach everybody, here's how to wash your hands, here's how to stay safe. But it reached a point where we had to tell people you got to stay home. Many of our colleagues, because they have a different ability, also have an immunity challenge. So we want to keep them safe. So right now it's John, me, and my wife. We go from the apartment, we go to the office, we pack socks.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
Thanks for showing those, John. And it's John's, JOHNS, plural, johnscrazysocks.com, correct?
Thank you. If we do ads ever, we'll have you be a spokesperson.
Happy to do it. Okay. Thanks. Next question. We've got Kunal Mahajan, who founded the Disabilities Network at SMBC. Kunal says that they have a stuttering disability themselves. Another question for Mark and John. They're inspired by the profitable disability-owned business that you started. What advice do you have for other disability advocates in corporate America trying to make their way in this 80% unemployment that Katie talked about in the film? Why is there still so little awareness of disabilities in corporate America, in your opinions?
Well, notwithstanding the current pandemic, we speak to corporations all the time. And we hear from employers that they can't find enough good workers. And we're standing there saying, but here's this population that's untapped. And it's a matter, people I think are afraid. And it's a matter of them seeing the success and focusing on what people can do and not what they can't do. Some of that, we feel good when other businesses come in to see what we're doing so that they can learn from that. But I'll give you an example of why it's good business. Microsoft is competing with other companies to hire programmers. They realized many people on the autism spectrum are great programmers, but they weren't hiring them. And that's when they realized it was their problem. So they changed their hiring process. Now they're hiring these great programmers who happen to be on the autism spectrum, and that gives them a competitive advantage. And that's what we want employers to see. It's not altruism. It's good business to hire people with different abilities.
That's great. Thanks. I hope people take that home, and I'm glad that you reinforced that. We've got a question again, inspired by Deaf Love. People want to know if there are other films out there, other shorts that y'all have considered making features from your shorts. Any of those in the works?
Other feature films we were inspired by. This is the question.
Well, I think the question was for the other filmmakers. I think they're wondering if they're doing the same things that you're doing, which is that try to make a feature from their short.
Okay, so.
For the other panelists, yeah. Matt,
We had a TV series pitch document we put together for a TV channel here that we submitted, but they didn't accept it. There were a lot of submissions, so that's enough. But so we've still got that, so we might try and still develop that. It's like a little 6-episode kind of 30-minute series based around basically lots of different deaf people in different occupations and different lifestyles. So we're going to try and do that.
Fantastic. That's great. Yeah, fine. Keep us posted in some way. It'd be good to see. I'm still shooting for the superhero thing. Let's see. The question again, back to Deaf Love. Does the island with deaf people really exist, or was it staged for the film?
It's a stage. It's a stage. It's in Puglia. You know, Puglia. It's in the south of Italy, a part, and it's similar of Iceland, but it's not an Iceland.
But Michele was inspired from a real island, which is in Indonesia, a community composed by deaf people only. So
yeah,
this is real.
So these islands, there are places like this that do exist.
Yes.
Yes.
Bali.
Okay.
Near Bali.
Okay. Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Let's see. For Tragically Deaf, so Maxx and Paul, they'd love to hear more. This is a great question, and I know the answer to this, so I want to see how you answer it. More about the recording of the voiceover. Was the actress a professional voiceover artist, and what's the process for that?
Oh yes, so it is quite funny. So that was my mother, and we recorded that in my parents' bedroom. She has a very English-style voice, so we were trying to work out someone to do it, so who would do it. And then my friend said, "You should get your mum." And so basically, it was just my mum reading it out, and she used to do a lot of theatre, so that probably helped. We just tried to make her as condescending as possible, basically, and she did it. She did it quite well. Yeah, that was my mum. Very easy person to hire.
Yeah, I got the sense watching it, so that it was sort of inspired by a lot of those BBC voiceovers that I've seen, and she carried that tone perfectly.
She did very well. Yes, it was inspired basically like by a really, really, really traditional English kind of condescending documentary, basically. Yeah, almost colonial. Yeah.
Let's see. So we've got a question for Paul from Tragically Deaf. I want to know if you want to do more acting, or do you want to do behind the camera work?
I like to do more behind the camera work. That's where I feel I'm in my element when I'm working. I want to actually work on the camera and the lighting.
I think I think Paul has. Sorry, I was saying I think Paul has a great face for comedy. Personally, I think he's great. But sorry, Lawrence, you ask.
Yeah, no, great reaction shots, right? You know, the responses to everything. Yeah, really good. And what, if you're wanting to do work behind the camera there, Paul, in what capacity? What is it you'd like to do? Oh.
As a cinematographer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Any other questions coming in from the audience here?
Let me, Lawrence is Isaac here. One of the questions who went to the answered, I just thought it would be good for everyone to hear from Laura Lieberman, for the director of Moment to Moment. How is Susan doing now? Is she still doing art? Is their story going to be written as a short story or a book? It's such a beautiful story.
I answered that, but
just to share with everyone.
Yeah, she's doing okay. I mean, Carl's in a full-time facility, and he's not, you know, he's declined considerably since we finished filming, as one would expect. So I think that it's difficult for her, but I do think that having him in a full-time care facility, you know, she's with him, sees him every day, but she's also been able to sort of gain some degree of independence that she didn't have before. And I think she is doing more art now, which she wasn't able to before. So that's at least one positive step. As for, you know, being written into a short story or a book, I don't personally have any plans for that. For me, this was just kind of like a very contained project in terms of it being time limited. I didn't think it was necessary to follow the trajectory of it. But what is interesting is actually before I made the film, This American Life did a story about Carl and Susan that was totally different. It was actually pretty interesting. So Carl used to be a physics teacher, and he one of the tests that was given to him in the early stages of the diagnosis was having him draw a clock, and the entire story was just about that process of how he tried to teach himself how to draw a clock, and sort of that's how he understood the way in which his mind was declining by his inability to do so. It's mentioned in the film, but it was something that at the point that I got to, by the time I started filming, it wasn't really. You know, he had moved into a different stage at that point. But the story is great, and I just posted up the link there in the Q&A.
We're trying to open the mic for William Sicklick. If William, if you want to ask your question, you are unmuted now.
Hello, my name is William, and I have a question for Matt. And my question is that if you do want to do something like the short TV show, you could pitch it to Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, and maybe they can do something for you that because it would be amazing for you that like to do something for the disability people, so you know they didn't look back and say, hey, listen, that you know that I had something to look back on, and you know, and for people to feel you know humbled on, and you know, and feel like they can, you know, they can have something to you know, to really feel appreciated on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it does need to be more commercial, I would say. I mean, disability content, I would say, basically. The more you have, the better chance you have to break the stigmas that are around. And, I mean, I know Paul and I would love this to go further. I think, yeah, I mean, I'd love it to. It's really hard to get onto Netflix and those things. You need a really, really good producer, and the producer is me. So, but I mean, yeah, I would love to shop it around a bit more. And maybe in this time, this shutdown time, maybe people are reading more and are more open to things. So it's probably actually a really good time to push projects that are a little bit different and less commercial. So maybe it's actually a really good idea. Thank you, William.
Yeah, it seems one of the things I've been reading in the trades is that because of the shutdowns for the regular TV seasons that were already in play, they were already filming for a lot of things, the industry, like everybody else, is scrambling, and there may be more opportunities going forward for things that they might have passed on initially, but now they're looking to kind of fill the gaps that are going to inevitably occur as a result of the shutdowns. And the other thing is there are more and more companies going online streaming all the time. We've seen this just in the last couple of weeks. Places that had been regular brick and mortar are now moving into the online arena and doing more streaming. And I hopefully that will open up more opportunities for creators like yourselves, because people need an opportunity to see these films. And with that in mind, I want to thank everybody from wherever you are and all your different places for joining us. If you want to see great short programs like these, make sure that you tell your friends about it, and you keep supporting organizations like ReelAbilities, because right now it's one of the few places where we can all enjoy these films together. So thank you, Yitzi. Thank you, everybody at ReelAbilities. Thanks to the filmmakers for sharing your fantastic work, and lots of luck going forward.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Lawrence. Always an amazing job. Folks, please continue these conversations. Connect with us. We have 2 more programs of short films today with more fantastic short films. Also, all of these films will continue to live with us as ReelAbilities goes national, and we hope these films will have a long life on our platform and elsewhere as well. So thank you all. Thank you to these amazing filmmakers. And we look forward to seeing you at other events. We're here tomorrow also for another full day of films. And of course, closing night on Monday, where Lawrence will be back to in conversation with the amazing Judith Heumann. So please be joining us for that as well. Thank you all, and we'll hope to see you soon.